Yes, everybody give your answer. I'm going to end the poll now. Only 15 students gave response. I don't know what the remaining students are doing. So question is, in SHA-512 algorithm, plain text block size is dash bits. It is not, many of you given 128 bits, but it's wrong. Answer is 1024 bits. Plain text block size is 1024 bits. And the output, that is the message digest or the hash code or the hash value of SHA-512 algorithm is 512 bits. So here the answer of this question is 1024. So we have discussed the SHA-512 algorithm. So where the required parameters for SHA-512 algorithm is input values are the block size. Okay, first of all, it will take the message. The size of the message is less than 2 power 128 bits. And the message will be divided into blocks. The size of every block is 1024 bits. And then it is going to take initial vector. The size of the initial vector is what? Size of the initial vector in SHA-512 algorithm is 512 bits, 512 bits. It will be stored in 8 registers or the buffers, where the size of every register is 64 bits. 64 bits. And it is going to produce a digest of 512 bits. And internally it performs 80 steps. 80 steps will be performed, or 80 rounds will be performed, and the security is 256. So that is about SHA-512 algorithm. So coming to the next algorithm, that is SHA-3 algorithm. So SHA-3 algorithm, so there are many algorithms which produces the hash code or the hash which will be applied using the hash function. So where it is going to take the message and it applies some function and it produces the fixed length code. So due to some lack of security in some other algorithms, like SHA-1 algorithm was developed, initially SHA-1 was developed, then SHA-2 algorithm, then SHA-128, 256, 384, 512 algorithms were developed. Later, SHA-3 algorithm was developed. Okay. Just a minute. Yes. So SHA-3 algorithm was developed in 2015. Okay, so the structure of the SHA-3 algorithm is different from SHA-1 and SHA-2, where, as I said, SHA-1 algorithm was, the structure of SHA-1 algorithm is mostly similar to MD5 and MD4 algorithms. There were MD4 and MD5 were message authentication code algorithms. Again, the purpose is same. Both message MD4 algorithm and hash functions are used to provide the authentication security service. So here, SHA-3 algorithm, the structure of SHA-3 is generally for all hash functions will. So there is a similar kind of structure we have discussed, right? The general structure is, this is a general structure of hash functions, where it is going to take the input block, and it is going to take the initial vector or the initial value, where whatever the size of the initial value is there, based on that it will produce the output. The same size output will be produced, and it will be given to the n number of compression algorithms. Internally it will provide some steps. Every compression algorithm will provide some steps, and here a compression algorithm consists of the binary logical functions, like it uses XOR, it uses the logical and it uses the shift operations. All these operations, logical operations will be used, bitwise operations will be used. And finally, it is going to produce the 512 bits output. So for SHA-512, depending on the algorithm, it produces the some pixel length code. So this is the general structure of all other algorithms like SHA-1, SHA-2 and other. But SHA-3 algorithm, the representation is different. The internal representation of SHA-3 algorithm is different. We'll see the internal representation. And it was designed by or developed by the fellows. So these are the fellows who developed the algorithm, and there was a rule person. So KCAC rule is there. So based on that KCAC rule, this SHA-3 algorithm was developed. So we'll see what is that KCAC rule and what is the internal structure of the SHA-3 algorithm. So SHA-3 algorithm uses a main concept called sponge construction. It uses sponge construction. So sponge, sponge, just think about the sponge, how it is going to absorb the water. Sponge mainly, it absorbs the liquid water, and whenever we squeeze it, it is going to release the water, right? So in the same manner, whatever the message we are going to give, it is going to take the entire message. Hash functions, main purpose of hash function is what? It will take the message and it applies the function and it produces the fixed length code. Whereas in SHA-3 algorithm, instead of producing this fixed length, so here it will take the variable length input and the variable length output will be produced. Again, so how it is going to produce the variable length output is it will be produced in the level by level. Some at for one squeeze, it is going to produce some bits of output, and some again for the next squeeze, it is going to produce some output. So that can be used again. Whatever the output it is producing can be used for some other applications, like if you want to use that for the pseudo random number generator. If you want to generate some random numbers, then it can be used. So random numbers of 4-digit or 6-digit. So based on the application, so we can use this particular algorithm. So there are many applications of SHA-3 algorithm, but the purpose of the SHA-3 is, instead of giving the fixed size output, it will give the variable length output for a variable length input. So mainly it uses absorbing phase and the squeezing phase. Absorbing phase, in that first phase, it will take the entire message. Okay, message will be so it is going to take the entire message and it applies the functions. KCAC rule will be applied. And then at squeezing phase, it will release the code, hash code will be generated. So we'll see the structure or the block diagram of this, how the sponge construction will be happened, how it is going to take the input and output. So sponge construction has the same general structure as iterated hash functions. Like iterated hash function is nothing but the basic hash function, whatever we discussed for other hash functions. Like it is going to use what? It is going to use the input message block will be used, and initial value will be used. It will be given to some compression algorithm, some hash function. So here, if the size of the initial value is n bits and it produces the n bits output, again that will be given to the compression function. So this construction, not the entire structure, only the sponge construction, in the sense it uses two phases, right? Absorbing phase and the squeezing phase. It will be similar to that, but it is not going to produce the fixed length. Instead, it is going to produce the variable length output, how it is going to produce it. So hash function takes an input message and partition it into fixed size blocks, like SHA-512 and SHA-1 algorithms. Message will be divided into fixed size blocks. So in order to make that as a equal size blocks, again it is going to pad some bits. Padding of bits will be done. Message length will be added to the message. So each block is processed in turn with the output of iterated thread to the next iteration. So finally producing the output block. Yes. So in each and every stage, so there will be one compression algorithm which consists of some number of steps which produces the output that will be given to the next step, and so it will be, depending on the algorithm, it will have the n number of compression algorithms. Compression algorithm will be performed for n times. So final round output will be considered as the output, like final one will be added with the input initial value, then it will be given as the output. So here the sponge function. So there will be a sponge function. Sponge construction uses a sponge function. So here it takes three parameters. Sponge function takes three parameters. First one is the internal function, which is used to process each input block. So every input block will be processed. The entire message will be processed. The size of the bits of the input blocks means generally it is going to, whatever the message is there, it will be considered the fixed size, right? So here in SHA-3 algorithm, it is going to take the size 160 bits, 1600 bits block will be considered. 1600 bits means the 1600 will not be the entire message. Instead, in that some number of bits will be the message, and some other will be the capacity of the bits. So we'll see. So the size of the bits of the input blocks called the bit rate, and it is going to use the padding algorithm. So it, in order to pad the bits, it is going to use the padding algorithm, and the sponge function. So sponge function allows both variable length input and the output. As I said, it produces the variable length output, and making it a flexible structure that can be used for the hash function. So here hash function produces the fixed length output. Once whatever the output it is getting from the SHA-3 algorithm, so that can be used for the hash function, or it can be used for the pseudo-random number generator. Okay, pseudo-random number generator is one of the applications of SHA-3 algorithm. And for pseudo-random number generator we have used, right? So where we have used this pseudo-random number generator? We have used in some algorithms in a number theory concept. We have used in some algorithm pseudo-random number generator, right? Or the cryptanalysis part. And so whatever the input message is there, if the entire message is of size n bits, so it will be partitioned into k fixed size blocks. So the size of each block is k. Size of the block is k, and where each block will have the r bits. Okay, it will be r bits. So the message is padded to achieve the length that is an integer multiples of the R bits. So because every block should have the fixed size, that is 1600 bits should be there. But in some block, the original bits will be less compared to the some other blocks. So finally, it has to produce 1600 bit length. So the resulting partition is a sequence of blocks P0, P1. So the entire the message block. So for uniformity, padding is always added. That is, if n mod r is equals to 0, padding block. So how many number of bits will be added? That is all depends on the size of the message and the bit rate what we are going to consider. So we'll see this is the representation. So how a sponge function is going to take the input and how it is going to produce the output. So here it is the message, entire message length is how many bits? Entire message length is n bits, and it is going to perform, it is going to add some bits. Okay, it is adding some bits, and after adding the bits, the length will be k into r bits. So where the size of each block is k, isn't it? Each block is k. So message will be divided into different blocks like P0, P1 are the blocks. So every block will have the R number of bits. So where this R is nothing but the message as well as the capacity of the message. We'll see that. And it is going to produce the output. So again, while it is going to produce the output, so output will be of size 0, Z1, and so on. So where the size of each block is R bit size. So it is going to take R bit size input and it is going to produce the R bit size output. Okay. So here the sponge construction. So how it is going to produce the output. So as I said, it will have sponge construction will have two phases. One is the absorbing phase and the other one is the squeezing phase. So this absorbing phase is called as the input phase. And the squeezing phase is called as the output phase. So what it is going to so here whatever the message is there, the blocks. So P0, P1, so these are all the message blocks, isn't it? So where the size of the block is, if you observe, R, small r is the original message and C is the capacity it is going to include. So for some messages, so here this entire R plus C should be 1600 bits. R plus C value is 1600 bits. So the capacity, how much capacity we are going to add, based on that, it is going to take the number of bits. Okay, based on the capacity value, it is going to increase or decrease the bits of the message. And then, so after taking that plain text, so what it is going to do is, it is going to perform. So it is going to, so whatever the R value is, how many number of bits it is going to take, it is going to take the those many zeros, and it is going to take the capacity. Again, it is going to take those many zeros, and then it is going to perform the XOR operation with that. By taking these two inputs, it is going to perform the XOR operation. So that will be given to the compression algorithm. So if we see compression algorithm, and then it is going to produce the output, which will be given to the, again, one function, the sponge function. S is the sponge function. So sponge function is going to, I mean, the output of the sponge function will be given as the input to the XOR function again. So which is going to take the second plain text block. Like that, it is going to take the entire plain text blocks, and it applies both compression algorithm as well as the sponge function. And finally, it is going to produce the, so it will be at the end of this absorbing phase, the entire input message will be used. Okay, the entire message will be absorbed. So once the message is absorbed, then in the squeezing phase, it is going to produce the output. So again, so it is not going to produce any, at a time, it is not going to produce the entire output or the hash code. Instead, it is going to produce a level by level output. So in first level, it is going to produce the output of Z0. So where the size of the Z0 will be some R bits. Again, and the next, again, it is apply, and it applies this function. So the compression algorithm will be applied. Then it is going to produce the another set of bits. Again, it is going to produce the R bits. So like that, in squeezing phase, so level by level, it produces the some fixed length code. At every level, in the output, again at every level, the output will be fixed length only. Z0 is length of Z0 is same as the V1. Like that, it is going to produce the, but it will not produce the entire code in a single step. So that is the main advantage of the SHA-3 algorithm. So how the construction will happen in the sponge construction is, so here it is going to take the sponge construction, is going to take the compression algorithm, and for the original message, so compression algorithm will be the input, and it is going to use some, this is the original message, some bits will be added to the message, isn't it? So this is the original message, that is the size of the original message, only n bits. But after adding this, after adding the bits, the entire thing will become k into r bits, k into r bits. So squeezing phase, function, compression function algorithm will be there, and it is going to add the bits, and it is the length of the bits, how many bits it is going to take from the message. So that will be the input, and then it is going to perform different operations like XOR operation and all will be performed, right? So this is the pseudocode of the sponge construction. This is the block diagram. This is the block diagram of the sponge construction. And this is the pseudocode of the sponge construction. Simply, it is going to apply the sponge function as well as the compression algorithm, and it is going to produce the code which will be used for this squeezing phase. So finally, at the end of the absorbing phase, it is going to produce the code of which will be the size of the output of the observing phase is R plus C. So again, so that it is going to produce the 1600 bits output from the observing phase. So that will be produced as the output. So R bits will be produced as the output. So here, sponge is going to take the message and the L bit. So here, entire code will be considered as the L bit, and it is going to apply the algorithm, like message will be some data will be added bits. So generally in all algorithms, like all algorithms, SHA-1, SHA-512 algorithms, in SHA-3 also padding will be done, 1 followed by the n number of zeros will be done. Then it is going to take what are the size is there. So it is going to add the zeros, and then it is going to perform the XOR operation by concatenating the plain text. So plain text will be concatenated with the capacity, right? And then it is going to perform the XOR operation. So that and the compression algorithm will take that input, what are the result it is getting from the XOR operation, it will take that, and whatever is produced from the compression algorithm. So here it uses some bitwise AND operations, and it uses some shift right shift operations will be used. Then it is going to take the floor value of S. So whatever it is getting, it takes the floor value of S and then produces. And so coming to the parameters of SHA-3 algorithm. So the input parameters of SHA-3 is like SHA-512. So here message will be divided into the n number of blocks. So input message will be the input message is the will be given to the hash function or the sponge function. It will be given to the sponge construction. So the entire message size is no maximum limit. Means here we can give any arbitrary length message and there is no limit. Whereas in SHA-512 it is 2 bar. What the maximum size? Message should be less than 2 bar 128 bits in SHA-512. In SHA-3 it is not the case. The size is maximum, I mean any arbitrary size. And the block size, so block size will be considered. So here there are different, based on the output it is going to produce. So here SHA-3 will produce the output here. If you observe this one, in the squeezing phase it is going to produce the output, right? This output Z0, if the size of Z0 is equals to 224 bits or 384 bits or 512 bits. So based on this, it is going to use the message. So if you observe the comparison of different algorithms of SHA-3, these are the different variations of SHA-3. Variations in the sense, the output it is going to produce. So here SHA-3, this 224 means it is going to produce 224 bit hash code. Here it is going to produce 256 bit hash code. So 384 hash code bit will be produced. So based on the output code bit it is producing. Suppose if it is producing the 224 bit message digest or the hash code, then the message block size will be, it will consider the block size as 1152 bits will be considered. Then what about the block size? Entire block size will be, so it is going to consider the entire block size will be 1600. So means remaining values it is going to take it as the capacity value. Suppose if you observe here, capacity C is there, isn't it? Capacity C is there. So if you observe, these two values will be added. If you observe these two, if we add these two values, we'll get the 1600. If capacity size is increased, then the bit rate will be decreased. If bit rate is increased, capacity will be decreased. So sum of these two values will be 1600. This is fixed. So based on the size of the capacity, if capacity is getting increased, if you observe the capacity is getting increased means obviously it is producing the highest message digest. The message digest size will be more. Based on the capacity, the code will be generated. But the thing is, the sum of R and C, the bit rate and the capacity should be 1600. And the word size, here it is going to take the word size as 64 bits for one word. One word is nothing but 64 or 16 bytes. And the collision resistance. So collision resistance is 2 bar 112, whereas for 256 it is 2 bar 128. So hash functions will be of weak collision resistance, strong collision resistance. Hash functions will be there, right? Because for two different messages, it may produce the same hash code. So if it is going to produce the same hash code, it can be represented as a weak hash collision or a strong hash collision. Like suppose if for two messages like X and Y, if it is producing the same hash code, okay, h of X is equals to h of Y. H of Y, then this X and Y. So for a known X value, if it is infeasible to predict Y, then this is called as a weak hash collision. Or if there are two hash functions which is producing the same hash code, and for two different, if it is infeasible to find, yes, it is infeasible to find the given pair. I mean, for which pair of messages this hash code is generated. So that is called as the strong hash collision resistance, right? So here it is going to specify in SHA-3 algorithm with the Phi12, it is going to produce the collision rate is 2 power 256. And also it will have the pre-image resistance. So pre-image resistance, these are all the features of the hash functions, right? So the pre-image resistance will be 2 power 512 in SHA-3 algorithm. SHA-3 with the digest code message digest is 512 bits. So this is the SHA-3. So we'll see the internal structure. Actually, if you observe the basic, the sponge construction, there is a compression function and there is a sponge function and all. So we'll discuss how it is going to generate what the internal structure of these two things. Okay, we'll discuss the internal structure of this compression algorithm and this function, sponge function is. But this is an overview of the SHA-3 algorithm. Overview of SHA-3 algorithm. Simply, it is used to produce the hash code. Okay, it is used to produce the hash code, but the difference is more security will be provided by using this SHA-3 algorithm, where it consists of two sponge construction. Mainly, it uses sponge construction. So, sponge construction idea came from the fellow Keccak. So, Keccak rule is there. Keccak primitive. Keccak rule is there. So, which is going to take the bit rate as well as the capacity. The input will be bit rate and the capacity. If you observe the diagram, yes, the entire input plain text is some capacity bits will be added, right? And it is going to produce the output. Okay, so this Keccak rule is used in SHA-3 algorithm. We'll discuss the entire the internal representation in the next session. As of now, you just go through the just overview of SHA-3, that what are the different phases of SHA-3.